Greetings, my friends. We are going to be discussing the semi-open file in the middle game. First thing first, what's a semi-open file? It's the file on which we're having just the pawn of one color, either white or black. And it is important if you can take advantage of the semi-open file in terms that you could be moving your rook and try to exploit and attack your opponent's weakness. Now, in this position, I'm going to be very concrete. In this position here, you could take with the bishop or you could take with a pawn. The difference here is that although traditionally you may want to take with a bishop to preserve the pawn structure, there are some situations in which it is recommended for you to take actually with a pawn. Reason being, you actually enable your rook to attack on the g file, the g2 pawn, in just a couple of moves. So that's quite important to understand how to increase the efficiency of your rooks in the semi-open files. Okay, now it's just the pawn of one color, the g2 pawn. So let's just continue with the something like queen to e3, aiming to take it on h6. But what white has missed here is that knight to h4 happens immediately. And if white were to play queen to h6, which by the way is a blunder, because you're going to be punishing them straight away with knight takes f3. And the pawn is pinned, can't take, the rook pins the pawn to the king. And actually that would be very good for you and not so good for your opponent. Okay, next tutorial here. Now, there is this guy here on d6. There is a black pawn on d6, semi-open file. And fortunately, we have the chance to getting a third attacker on that pawn. So how do we do that? Very, very straightforward. Now, we're going to move the rook c to d. Very nice, very efficient, very direct. Bang. d6 being attacked 3 times. No way for black to protect that pawn, whatever they try to do. You're going to be winning. Now, white is attacking it 4 times, whereas black defends it 3 times. So you got 1, 2, 3, and 4. And they defending it actually only twice. So we got this guy and this guy. So you're going to be winning regardless. And that's it. You do better than black here. You've got the D file. They can't play the rook because you're going to be winning the exchange. And all the good ideas belong to you here. If queen were ever to take, you're actually going to be dominating the 7th rank very, very, very soon. Okay, let's look at the position that occurred now on the screen. Again, you might want to say, well, I'll take back with the queen because I want to keep my pawns connected, which generally might be true. It is true, but as we said, there are some exceptions, and every now and then you will get to understand that actually you got to go quite the opposite of the traditional way of taking, because when you take with the f, you actually enable the rook, and the bishop on b3 and the rook on f1 could exert quite some pressure here on f7, and black has to be careful, because if they move the knight, I don't know, if they were to move the knight, the f7 would be captured. So I think you guys can understand the value of, at some point, capturing with something that don't seem to be very natural, but that indeed opens up some options. Good stuff for you in the future. Now, when they try to, okay, we'll just continue. Knight to a5, attacking the b3 bishop. You don't have to give them your very active bishop. Let the knight being, peripheral and not very active, just drop down c2. Bishop on c2. The knight is on the rim. They will have to be redeployed. Probably they're gonna have to waste some tempo to get the knight back in action. Maybe c6 back again. But anyway, the position looks very good here for white. c5 had been played probably to stopping you pushing the pawn here and dominating and opening up this thing. So probably c5 was played to just stopping you from pushing this guy here. Or maybe this guy, but that's not really a stoppage. I think more likely it's just to stopping you to playing d4. And now the redeploying knight f3 over to h5. You're going to go to f5. The aim is to go to f5. If black were to play this, that weakens very much the h and actually weakens terribly the f6. So any move of the pawns in front of the king weaken terribly the Black King's fortress. So any g6 is a catastrophe here. It's very, very weakening for the Black King. Knight is being attacked. Well, I know it's the queen, but you might be even able to attack them twice, and it just doesn't look very good at all. Okay, having a look at another one here. What is white supposed to be playing? Refrain yourself. Try not to open with the D as long as the rook is on the same file with the queen. So rather focus your attention on the queen side, so to speak. The black king had castle long, so if you go the move like b5 here, you will be dismantling those pawns. You have to focus your attention where the opponent's king is, and you're going to be attacking there. All right, so it doesn't matter now what black takes with. You're going to be taking back, and actually you're going to be exerting more and more pressure, perhaps doubling the rook, attacking here on the b. It's a lot of good stuff happening. And now, probably that's the most obvious example. Now, you already notice there is bishop attacking on f7, and you've got the battery here. There is no point to take with the pawn, because if you take with the pawn, you're blocking your own rook stacking on f7. So you don't want to take with a pawn, but instead you want to take with a rook. They do have a rook that takes you back, but still, you're going to take back with the other rook. And now, again, you attack twice. Rook attacks f7, bishop attacks f7, and that looks very good. And even if they defend, let's say they play queen or something, just give a random example, you could also increase the attack here with the queen if necessary, and let them figure out ways to defending against this. It's important for you to pile up on that particular weakness that has been created in the semi-open file. Pile them up, get more attacking power on the f, and that's looking good. You got a pawn majority on the queen side and triple attack on f7. They will be playing defensively. Very good stuff for you if you're finding yourself in that situation. Now, what's the semi-open file we might be able to create and take an advantage of? You've got it. We got the perennial weakness, the f7. The f7. And now, because we have opposite side castling, we go with f4. Either they take or not. If they don't take, you're going to take. And if they take, you're going to take back with the rook. And again, the f7 is the problem. And now a little bit resembling of the Greek's gift here, because we got a bishop, we got an open file here, and we got the queen ready to launch again. But for the time being, then black knight on f6, stopping the queen to moving on to h4. So let's try to deflect that knight a little bit. So we got a bishop taking, check. If the king moves in front of the bishop, we got an all-mighty discovered happening, and that's looking very good. So there's no point for them not to take. But when they take, we're actually having the queen playing here, attacking the knight, and wherever they go is just simply checkmate. And now if you really want to inquire what will happen if king goes on h8, I guess we could just play queen to f3. Let me just think about this one. Queen to f3 could be played, right? Queen to f3 or queen to d3. I'm not sure about this one. Queen to f3. Well, we just took a pawn from them. I don't see what's the problem. If they threaten this, we might be having, it's a little bit of complication. Knight takes d5. And if knight takes here, so knight takes d, knight takes d. Okay. That's a discovered, and then we're going to have something like very deadly, like this king goes on g8, and then we take. Okay, something like this. I think I wasn't too wrong about it. Okay. I was just curious. Really about the best continuation here. So let's just go further on, guys, with the next exercise. Okay, so what do we play? Queen to c2. Right, so the b file has to be exploited. We're going to push the a because we're simply increasing the power of the rooks. We're actually attacking on b3 once, twice, 3 times. They're defending only twice. Yeah, they could play the the rook here, but we're still going to take because that increases our power, opening up the a eventually. And if they take, even better. Okay, if they capture, even better. I guess you could take back with this rook or the other rook. That's absolutely fine. But if they were to take, I guess, yeah, rook takes a, rook b takes a. They're both equally good. And you're doing very well. Okay, so that's the semi-open file in the middle game, my friends. So remember, if you get the opportunity, sometimes you may want to encourage creation of the semi-open file and get yourself a rook on that very semi-open file created, and pile up on the opponent's weaknesses. So thanks for watching this short video, guys, and I hope I'm going to see you either on my future live stream or maybe on the next video. Thank you very much, and see you soon, my friends.